Hello, guys. Welcome to Elegant Conversation with Jacqueline Valdez. I'm so excited to be here. So follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and Instagram, Elegant Jacqueline. Today's guest, we are going to be talking to writer, producer, director, and he has a show out on Netflix. Welcome to Sudden Death. So I'm super excited. He is an old dearest friend from East High School. Shout out. So let's welcome Mr. Dallas Jackson.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you for having me. And yes, East Angels in the house all day.
I love it. So excited. So we go back to some of the viewers from high school and have been dear friends. And it has been so exciting to see your journey and everything that you've been doing and the path that you are creating and opening doors for other people too in the industry.
Yeah, it's 20 years overnight success, right? So I been putting in a lot of work as a writer early on, and had sold my first script around 95 to 20th Century Fox. And just because you get a little door open, you have to bust it open a little bit more. And that has allowed me to enter into things like directing now and producing and giving other people opportunities. So yes, it's been a fantastic journey and a long one, but I wouldn't change anything.
I know, it's so exciting. So you started out, tell us your journey, how it even began. You started out in theater, in writing, in just the very beginning.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is I started out doing stand-up, and people didn't really know I was, I think I did my first stand-up in Denver when I was like 15. My mother took me to comedy clubs a couple times. I was just like, wait outside while I go inside and say some wild stuff, and come back out to the car. And she'd go, how'd it go? And I'm like, I guess it went cool. I was a big Eddie Murphy fan. I was a big Damon Wayans fan. And around that time, you had things like Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing and School Days, and you had A Different World on television, and all these kind of things that were influencing me. So I had done stand-up. I did actually do stand-up at our East Angels, like Mr. and Mrs. Angel contest. That was like our big kind of like school pageant or whatever. But yeah. I won that, and I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna do stand up for real. And I had done they had this Canadian Missed Talent contest in Denver like that summer, and I came in third place. And I told my parents that I was gonna move to LA, and they were like, nah, you going to college. And I was like, I could just skip over that and go right into, what I want to do. Cause I really felt like I wanted to do stand-up. And they were like, no, you go to college. And I had gotten into Howard. Cause like I said, A Different World and Spike Lee's School Days, like being exposed to the idea of like a historically Black college was very intriguing. And so I got into Howard. I went to Howard. I continued to do stand-up here and there at Howard, but I majored in TV and film, and I started to really catch the bug of like wanting to be more so on the film side and TV side than just like a stand-up. And so that launched me on that path. And when I got out of Howard, I got a job at this movie studio called Savoy Pictures, and they had done this movie called Tales from the Hood. They did this movie with Martin Lawrence called A Thin Line Between Love and Hate. They did some bad movies too, like Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. But I learned, I got a job there in the mailroom, and my job in the mailroom was to photocopy all the scripts that came in and distribute them, because they would buy scripts, and also after they bought the script, they would work on them for production. So I would read everything. And one day they bought a script for $100,000 from this R&B singer that they wanted in this movie. It was from Bobby Brown. They bought this script from Bobby Brown for like $100,000. I read it. It was interesting, but it was also like crazy. You couldn't tell what it was about, but I was like, he got $100,000 for this. I'm gonna take a shot. And I called a good friend of mine, Ken Rance, who also went to Howard with me, and said, let's write a script together.
Wow.
And we wrote this script called Scary Dates, which was kind of based on our early dating lives and like just weird things that had happened. And we were able to get an agent from that and a manager, and we sold that script to 20th Century Fox. And that allowed me to then officially become a writer, join the Writers Guild. And then from there, Ken and I sold a couple more scripts. One of them being this kind of slasher, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream with black and brown kids, which we originally called Homecoming.
Okay.
And then years later, I would get that script back and take it to Blumhouse, who did Get Out and some other horror movies, Halloween. And that would be the first thing I got to direct, and it was called Thriller, which is on Netflix now. So that was the first movie that I got to direct. The first movie I got made was a movie called Uncle P with Master P and Little Romeo. I wrote and produced that. And I learned, that was around 2004. I learned how to make a movie for $1 million from Master P. And Cheech Marin was in the movie. Hulk Hogan was in the movie. It was like a kids, kind of like a Bernie Mac meets Mr. Mom kind of movie.
Right.
And he sold that for $1 million. I mean, I'm sorry, he shot that for $1 million. He sold it for $3 million to Nickelodeon and New Line. And so I learned from Master P how to make a movie. And from there, it led me down this path of wanting to be a producer, writer, and then later on a director once I got together with John Singleton.
Wow, congrats. That's amazing. Yeah, and you've always been so entertaining, and you've always made me laugh in high school and over the years and stuff like that. And you've always been super creative. So it's really fun and exciting to see the journey. And you work so hard, you hustle. That's a really good example to people that are wanting to, get their feet wet and get into the industry, is you really have to pursue your dreams, and you really have to hustle and work hard and not give up your dream.
Yeah, you can, if it's really in your heart and it's really what you want to do and the passion is there, then there is no giving up. There is no plan B, because if there's a plan B, that means you plan to fail. So if it's in your heart, whether you're 18 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or whatever, 60, you pursue that. I saw this thing where the Colonel from KFC had this desire to cook chicken his whole life, and he waited till he was like 65, and then he's like, I'm gonna do it. And he ends up becoming KFC or opening KFC when he's like 70, but he still found it like never too late to pursue his dream.
Yeah.
And so I've always kept that with me, is that you have to stay with it. My parents have been encouraging in the sense early on that, look, if that's what you want to do, it's not going to be easy, but if anything's possible, if you stay with it. So yeah, I mean, people think that they move to LA or New York and that it's going to happen or you're going to blow up. And you might have little things that happen if you're blessed and lucky and you stick with it, but you have to stay with it thing after thing, because that one little thing might not pan out. So you have to keep going based on that one other little thing and make it something else and make it something else and make it something else. But there is no giving up. You have to continue to pursue your passion if it's truly in your heart. If it's truly in your heart, then it's what you're supposed to do. If it's not truly in your heart, then you're just going to end up breaking your own heart, because you're trying to fool yourself.
That's true. I love that. That's such an awesome tip. I feel the same way too, that if you have that really deep passion and you have that desire, it's going to come forth and you're going to keep manifesting your dreams to coming true. I feel that I wanted to be a dancer and I wanted to be in the entertainment industry somehow, some way. And it's I'm not giving up. I'm still going.
You can't give up. You're doing it now. I mean, and I think the beauty of being creative and the beauty of being an artist is that it's inside of you, and there's the talent part of it, and then there's the hustle business part of it.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out a way to maintain both, because you're trying to pay your bills and take care of yourself, and also keep this talent dream alive. And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is being able to feed yourself, pay your bills, and pursue the dream. But you're doing it, and there are ways to, you start out as a dancer, then you're doing this thing, which is still an extension of the talent. Right. And then that leads to something else. It leads to something else, So I think, and would encourage anyone to, if it's in their heart and if it's in their DNA to do this thing that they really dream of, then they got to go all out, and everything else will fall into place.
I love that. And Daddy Big said that he loved the movie. Michael J. White did his thing.
Yes. Michael J. is the truth. He's a real action hero, a real martial artist, a fantastic actor. He's actually really funny. People don't know that about him. He's actually a funny guy. But we had fun shooting that movie. We shot it last summer in Winnipeg, in Canada.
Wow, very cool. So how long does it take you to come up with a storyline and to come up with the actual script?
It varies. Sometimes something might just go off and I'm like, oh, I got to go write that down. Yeah. Sometimes it's something that keeps revisiting me, and I'll write down something and then come back and write down some more. In this case, this movie is a remake of a Van Damme movie called Sudden Death. Our version is called Welcome to Sudden Death. Nice. So I was presented with the opportunity to write the movie and direct it after my first movie, Thriller. So I watched the original Sudden Death, tried to figure out how I could put my spin on it. And I also told Universal that I wanted to do it with a black man. I wanted to do a die-hard kind of fun, because the original Sudden Death was kind of like a rip-off of Die Hard. I mean, no disrespect to Jean-Claude Van Damme. That's what it was.
Right.
So I was like, let me pay homage to that. And also let me put a brother in that. And then from there, it was just kind of creating my version of that story. So, typically it takes about 3 months to write a good script, 6 weeks to get a draft out. And then you come back and work on it some more. But I would say for Sudden Death, we worked on the script for like 6 months.
Wow.
And then they said, okay, let's try to figure out, where we're going to make it, how we're going to make it, for how much, who's going to be the star. And once that process started, I would say, I got hired to write the movie later in 2018. Wow. And we were scouting to where we were going to shoot in Canada in April of 2019.
Wow.
And then we were shooting the movie last August of 2019. So it was, for that, it was relatively quick. It was probably about an 18-month process from the time I got hired to write it to the time we were shooting it and it coming out.
Wow, that's exciting. So I bet it's just really exciting that it's coming out now and that it's doing really well. People are loving it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you never know, I mean, it's good to you, it's good to the people while you're making it, but you want to make something that is well received, at least a little bit, to a few people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we came out on September 29th on Netflix, and it came out top 5, and then that was just in in top 5 movies, and then like a week later, it was number 3 or number 4 in all of Netflix, like beyond the movies. So that was definitely a surprise and interesting, because with these things, especially since the pandemic, it's been tough to like get the studios to like spend a lot of money on marketing and that kind of thing, because all these studio execs, they're all working from home too.
Yeah.
So there is no coordinated effort as like people used to be at Universal or people used to be at Warner Brothers on the lot. You know, all these people are now working from home.
About that. Yeah. I was going to ask you how COVID and quarantine has affected the business and affected you in the industry.
Well, it's, there was a 4 or 5 month shutdown of production. So people are just starting to kind of get their productions up and running again. Right. I was able to finish Sudden Death, a couple months before things started to happen. I was actually called back to Canada to go shadow on a show called The Expanse for Amazon. So I went to Toronto for November or December because I was going to come back in March and shoot 2 episodes of The Expanse, which is like this big sci-fi show for Amazon. And COVID hit, and obviously the production shut down.
Right.
So it's starting to come back now. I mean, I've stayed busy writing and been able to fortunately sell a TV show to CBS and a couple other things during the pandemic, which is crazy. But it's also forced me, and I think a lot of other people, to stay creative, to stay at least in some way focused on the craft, knowing that at some point production will come back, which is starting to now, and that things will pick back up again. I mean, things probably won't get back to normal sense of production or the entertainment business as a whole until this thing is like kind of squashed out later next year.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that's a really good point that you made. I've been talking with other artists, and COVID and quarantine seems to be really bringing a lot of artists and creative people to even create more amazing things and to really just self-reflect and have time to actually focus more and to get more creative.
Oh, I definitely agree. I mean, at least that was my attitude as soon as it hit. Like, okay, I don't know how long this is going to last, but I'm going to take advantage of this time and create, write. I got offered the opportunity to do a podcast, so I might have to have you come on my show. So like and I said, okay, I'll do that. I mean, in terms of like different opportunities, it was an opportunity for me to explore another thing and have an opportunity to own it. But like, I think for me, staying creative has helped me keep my spirits and my sanity in place. Where I'm at now, in this room is where I write, is where I create. And I've spent a lot of time in here in quarantine, amongst other places in the house. This is where I've spent the most time. And I've been able to do some really good things that I think, had this not happened, I probably wouldn't have had the time to do it. I would have been shooting this other thing, or I've been out in meetings, or, it's amazing how much time you spend in traffic when you don't have to spend time in traffic.
Yeah.
Like that's 3 hours of your day right there, just going somewhere, running out in the world and coming back home. Yeah. It's amazing how much time you can actually capitalize when the things that aren't deemed necessary are taken away.
Yes, I love that. And I've been doing some scheduling arrangements too lately, because I have a hard time with time management. And so I can sometimes double book myself, triple book myself, and I am trying to focus on really getting rid of the stuff that I don't need to do and really hone in on what I'm really wanting to do. And like you said, the craft, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And also, just giving yourself the time, as you said, to self-reflect, to think about what it is that you want to do from this point on for the next, whatever, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. I personally taken the time to create some projects that I want to direct next, and write. And like I said, I sold this show to CBS, and it was really just something that I wrote from like March or April when when quarantine hit, and was incorporating some of the things happening in the world into this show. It's a cop show with T.I. and 50 Cent, and
Nice.
incorporating all this stuff of Black Lives Matter and what it's like to be a police officer of color right now, and how do you become a hero to your people when some of your people don't like you, and you still try to stay true to yourself. So these were all things that I was thinking about that were just like, let me kind of just pour that into something. So I think sometimes the world dictates things that you can take advantage of and use within your own personal space of creativity.
Yeah, and I love that because it's really sad how, and really heartbreaking how things in the world have been. All the riots, all the protesting, all of the hurt people hurting other people, and all of the racism that's taken place. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to know that you're using your platform to inspire others to help, talk about these subjects that people are kind of scared to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point of being creative and the point of having a platform is to address some of these things and to say things that you want to say to the world, and also to spread some positivity. I mean, there's so much dark out there, and there's so much dark coming out of places that we obviously know shouldn't be coming out of, but it's spreading across, and you're either spreading dark or light, and there's a lot of dark being spread that is unfortunately being infectious. It's like another virus, and so I think a lot of people are starting to want to face that and shine their own light and have their own positive conversations, as you are. And so I always try to sprinkle a little something into everything I'm doing. Even with Thriller, there's a message in there about, lies and what that catches up to you, and how a lie can turn into murder and ruin people's lives. In Welcome to Sudden Death, I'm really talking about just this idea of this Black man trying to save his family, and he ends up saving everybody. Wow. But really just him standing up and saying, I'm going to save my children, which is a bigger message about what's going on right now. And I think in anything, we have to find a way to just say some things. Even in this podcast, we're talking about it, right? So it's beyond just a elegant conversation. You have an opportunity to like kind of say some things sometimes, or address some things, whether they're political or just personal.
And I feel like it's really important too to use your platform to make a difference in the world and to talk about subjects that need to be talked about. And I find that I have been surrounding myself, around the world with people connecting with people that do want to shine their light and that do want to make a difference and that want to get rid of that darkness. So I have like so much respect and love for you. And I love that you are sending these messages in your movies that people need to watch.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, look, vote, obviously. We got to get that just addressed. Let's make sure everybody votes. Everybody's voice matters. I think we all know what we need to do without saying it. And yeah, I mean, look, there's been a certain amount of, for me, I think, blessing in all of this, and just being able to say, okay, all these years of work are starting to pay off. Let me continue to work and stay positive, and let me try to help who I can, and I think that's something we all can do, even if it's just checking on your neighbor, or, hey, you need a little help. I know it's tight right now. I think that's something that we all kind of have realized in these, past few months, that it's not just about, we get so caught up in the daily grind, and, now you can't even go to the movies.
Yeah.
So everything is kind of slowed down for people to really take an analysis of what's going on in their life. And I don't think that's a a bad thing, and it might be it might have been on purpose. Who knows?
Yeah, that's very true. And who would you want to collaborate with in the future?
We should do something.
Yes, we should. I will dance or talk or whatever.
Whatever. I'd put this out in the universe before. I'd love to work with Will Smith.
Nice.
You know, I had a chance to meet him once, and it was fantastic. It was brief, but he was super cool, and you know, I'd love to work with him. Shout out Will Smith if you're listening to Elegant Conversations. Holla at your boy. I'd love to do something with my buddy Tyrese. We've been trying to figure something out. Maybe possibly next year. I love this show, Lovecraft Country. It's so good, and it's on HBO. If you haven't seen HBO Max, the creator of it, Misha Green, is a genius. If I was able to just even sit down with her, I would love that. And Jordan Peele as well, who wrote and directed Get Out, is fantastic.
Nice.
But I've been blessed in the sense that I've gotten to work with some really good people. I was blessed to executive produce with John Singleton, rest in power, before he left this earth, and learned so much from him. Wow. And he was a hero of mine and became a good friend and a brother, and launched me off as a director. So that in itself was like, you know, if I didn't get to work with anybody else again, that was enough for me, because he changed my life.
Wow, that's amazing. And you have so much love and support around you, which is so cool to see, that you have so many people that have really just, you know, embraced you and your talents and have helped you shine.
Yeah, it's been interesting, and I truly believe that, you know, God puts people in your life for a reason, and I've had some great people collaborate with me from, like I said, Master P or John Davis, who's a huge producer in this business, Crypt TV, who is like this big kind of horror channel that let me direct my first thing for them, that Eli Roth and Jack Davis owns. Blumhouse, Jason Blum, let me direct Thriller for them, and he's, you know, he owns the horror space. So for me to even be able to collaborate with him was fantastic. Michael Jai, who's, you know, worked with the best action people in the world, for me to be able to have him come do a movie with me. And I've had some really good people. RZA from the Wu-Tang, who is a friend and a brother and has worked with me. He scored my movie Thriller. We're friends. I've had some really great people who just rolled the dice with me, who didn't have to roll the dice with me. They were already who they were before I met them. So it's been really a blessing to have these people come into my life and help me take my craft to the next level, or contribute to something that I'm doing, and just make everything that I'm doing even better. I can only chalk that up to God.
Yeah, and it's so cool, because it's so nice to see that other people in the industry can help other people shine, and can help, you know, each other grow, and can make a difference together.
Yeah, I mean, if you see someone who's talented, or know they're talented, and they're not asking for a handout, they're asking for a help to maybe contribute to something that they're doing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, look, you can't, you know, nobody put me on. I had to put myself on, you know, meaning I had to do the work. I had to write. I had to get out there and hustle and get representation.
Right.
I had to do things to make sure that my projects were stand out from anything else, which means I had to go do action or sci-fi stuff that other brothers weren't doing. But it's nice to have people see the talent and go, okay, I want to help this kid, or I want to be a part of what he's doing. And if you do the work, that will happen. People will go, okay, I see what Jacqueline's doing. I want to come over and be on her show. I think she's got a great idea. Let me talk to her about it. because you're already doing the work.
Right.
You didn't ask anybody to give you a podcast or your show. You were like, let me go do it myself. And I feel like when you do that, the universe kind of makes its way to let other doors open because you're already a vessel and you're doing the work. You're not sitting on your couch going, oh, I wish somebody would give me an interview show. No, you were like, let me go do it, And I think people have to do this. If they want to write a script, I say, go write that script. You want to make a movie? It's really easy these days. You can make a short with your iPhone, write something and go shoot it, put it on YouTube, and watch what happens. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have all these things now where you can be creative and get it out into the universe and watch what happens. Somebody will see something and then the next thing will happen.
Yeah, I love it. Those are such amazing tips. I'm such a huge believer in it too. It does make a difference when you really hustle and you have the passion and not have that fear get to you and just do it and just make a difference. And the right people will, be pulled into you. And I'm a huge believer with energy. And if you're putting out that good energy and you're putting out that hard work, the universe is going to take care of you.
Yes. And, it's not going to take care of you overnight in front of your eyes, but things are happening when you don't even know they're happening. There are things happening right now because of you doing what you're doing that you're not even aware of, that will become apparent at some point. There are always things happening when you put good stuff out into the universe along with your work that will come back. So I just continue to do what I do. I love the idea of making stuff and writing stuff. And I try not to, I learned a few years ago, don't put your eggs all in one basket, continue to create, continue to do things. Let this iron be in the fire, go put another iron in the fire.
I love it. I love it.
Awesome. I never got a check from being at the right party. I got a check from doing the work.
Yeah. Do the work, guys. Do the work.
Yeah.
I love it. Is there something else that you wanted to let the viewers know?
My movie Thriller is on Netflix right now. My movie Welcome to Sudden Death is on Netflix right now. It's also on Amazon Prime and some other platforms. And we got some other stuff cooking that will be coming down the pipeline. And I'll come back to the show to talk about that.
Yes. You are always welcome back. And we can find you on Instagram and what other social media platforms can we find you on?
I'm on Instagram at DJ Classics with a Z at the end. All one word, DJ Classics, and then a Z at the end. So Instagram, DJ Classics, Facebook, Dallas Jackson, Twitter, DJ Classics.
Nice. What do you want your legacy to be what is your legacy that you want to leave?
That's an old man question. I don't know if I'm ready to answer that yet. But
what do you want to be remembered for or by?
I'd love to be remembered for someone who created opportunities for others while also creating some very cool and entertaining stuff. I'd love to be remembered for somebody who stepped out of some boundaries and created his own kind of lane. And also just be remembered for doing good work and being remembered in a positive light. Some people go away or they don't do their thing or they step out of limelight. Nobody cares because they weren't doing right by people. And, I'd like to be known as someone that did good work and did the right thing by people.
I love it. And you already are. You're such a huge inspiration and you're already making such a huge imprint on people's lives. You're so creative and I have so much love and respect for you. And it's been so fun watching your journey. And I'm so excited for the new stuff coming out for you, your podcast and the new projects you're working on. And I'm excited to tune into Netflix to see your shows. So you have been a huge inspiration and you're so positive too, which I love. And I love that you're helping other people, get doors opened for them and speaking up for, people of color.
Look, I'm just doing what I know we're supposed to do, or at least try. And, you know, there's been a dream in my heart since I was a kid, since we were in 5th grade, and somehow it still stayed there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like I'd rather keep trying than regret not trying. And so I'll always take an opportunity that scares me, because that means I'm supposed to try it, you know. Mine is jumping out of a plane, because I don't know if I'm supposed to do that or not. I am going to go run with the Bulls at some point, whether God wants me to do that or not. I'm gonna go do that, because I have that on my bucket list. But I do believe that continuing to pursue your dream, regardless if it's big or small, is what we're all here for. And if we can be of service along the way, help others along the way, then whatever you're doing will be even greater.
I love it so much. You have been such an awesome interview today. It has been so fun, and it has been such an honor. And I'm so glad we reconnected finally in person. Yeah. Through
you spoke by so fast. I'm like, we were only talking like 10 minutes, but I guess not.
I know. We will definitely do this again. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you for illuminating the world with your presence. Thank you guys for tuning in to Elegant Conversation with Jacqueline Valdez, and we are illuminating the world one voice at a time.
Thank you for having me. All the best to you, and I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. You too, love. Talk soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.